Welcome to another episode of Experience Annex. As you already know, Experience Annex is a platform for role models, particularly exemplary leaders, world-class professionals, and legendary entrepreneurs. On our platform today is Mrs. Remi Abere, a delectable lady, a mother, and a role model. So far, one of the very few Nigerians that have conquered the Mount Kilimanjaro. And today we are sharing experience on her journey to the top of Africa. Is that how we call it in Mount Kilimanjaro?
The rooftop
all right.
of Africa. The
Remi,
rooftop of Africa.
The rooftop of Africa. Yeah. Remi, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you very much for that great introduction. I don't know which three description I fit into, but thank you very much for inviting me to this platform. Well, my name is Remi Abere, and I work for IBM and I cover West Africa, which is mainly Ghana and Nigeria. That's where most of our activities are. I'm the corporate citizenship and corporate affairs lead for those two countries and some other countries that do come into my purview. And we generally execute programs that actually lead to visibility for IBM, but that's not the reason we do it. We do it so that we can go into communities and have impact in these communities, whether in the area of education, whether in the area of health, whether in the area of just learning. We work in many areas, and we have very special programs. I have worked in banking, I have worked in training, I have been an entrepreneur. To be honest, when I look at I want to say short, even though I am 50, I think I have kind of touched a lot of things. So I'm quite diverse, and I like a good challenge. I like things that excite me. I never do things for too long if they don't challenge me. So basically that's me. I love a good challenge. I love meeting great people. Anything that involves people, I love to be there. So yeah, so that's me generally.
That's very, very great. But can you tell us a little bit about your immediate family?
Yeah.
Kids?
I was waiting for that question because I knew that was part of your question. So yeah, I have 5 children. I have 4 girls and a boy. My first daughter is 27, and my son is he's 15. He just turned 15 last month. My first daughter is doing an MBA in INSEAD Business School in Singapore, and my second is doing a master's in media and communication. My third is working for PwC in England. She studied engineering. My fourth is studying law in Warwick University finally, and my son is still in year 10 in a school in England. My husband, let's not forget him. He's not in school, he's working as well. And he works in the oil servicing industry. At this moment, he's getting on a plane to fly back from Port Harcourt, so he should be expected soon. Yeah.
That's very, very great. So all your kids are grown up, and it's basically only you and your husband at home right now.
Yeah. I have an empty nest. And it's interesting because before I did, when my children were growing up, I kept on thinking, wow, I can't wait for the day when I'm free of all this stress of bringing up children. Although it's great and it's joyful and everything, and they bring so much joy to your life, I kept on saying, once I'm over, once they're out of the house, I'll be able to be me again. But interestingly, I miss them because I miss them so much. And it's interesting how you need to get your life back on track. You have to plan for that period of your life. You can't just let it just hit you just like that. And that's what it did to me. Even though I knew it was near, it hit me sooner than I thought, and I hadn't made adequate planning for this period of my life. So that's a bit of advice to people out there whose children are leaving home.
Okay. Remi, you have told us a little bit about IBM. You are a staff of IBM. How is life at IBM? IBM has a very, very rich heritage. So how is life at IBM?
Yeah, it's a fantastic company. It's been around for 105 years, which is fantastic. It's in nearly 180 countries, I think 177 to be exact. It's one of the foremost companies, one of the first 5 brands in the world. It has a lot of firsts, many patents. I mean, it's a magnificent, it's one of those companies that is going to grow old with time. Great-great-great-grandchildren probably work for IBM. It will always be there. It's that giant that will always be there because it stood the test of time. It's a technology company. It has evolved as time and change has evolved, and that's why they're still standing today. And it changes with time. It's a very good company because you learn. It's like a university. It's like a big university. You learn every day because as technology changes, IBM changes and it educates all its staff and people of IBM. So that's one of the great things I like about IBM. And the fact that you get to meet a whole diverse people. I mean, you obviously know people in different countries because they're in different countries of the world. And it's like a real global company because you get to talk to different people, you get to learn about their cultures, and my job affords me that because a lot of people come from different continents and countries for a program that we run here. So yeah, it's a great company. I love the fact that it's got this flexibility, the fact that we're now in the internet generation. You do your work on the internet, you don't have to be physically in the office to do your job. You know, and that kind of looks after the environment as well.
All right, so let's jump to Mount Kilimanjaro.
Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yes. What really prompted you or inspired you to climb Mount Kilimanjaro?
Well, I've always liked challenges, as I've said earlier on, and I like adventure. I really do like adventure and exciting things. And anything that's going to exert you physically, I'm up for it because I like keeping fit. And I believe to be truly healthy, you've got to keep fit. So I've always wondered about Mount Kilimanjaro, but the interesting thing about it is that nobody in this part of the world nobody that I had met had ever climbed. And, you know, I wasn't looking to go on my own. So it was until a gentleman had spoke about it. I'd heard about it, I'd wanted to do it. It was until I met a gentleman in Toastmaster and he spoke about it. And as soon as his talk was over, I ran to him and said, oh wow, I want to do this. And he gave me some tips about it. I said, okay, I need to look for a team of people that I can go with. But my main inspiration, my main motivation for climbing Kilimanjaro was that it's a challenge. It's 19,000 feet. A lot of people hadn't done it, and I wanted to be one of those people that could conquer it. So it was that challenge for me. That's what made me want to do it. And mountains are synonymous with obstacles. If you can surmount your mountains, you know, it could give you confidence to overcome adversity, to overcome many things in your life. So I kind of thought, yeah, let's do that.
Great. So, as we know, the mountain has 3 peaks. Is it 3 peaks or what they call volcanic cones?
Yeah, volcanic cones,
Mawenzi, Shira, and Kibo. You know, Kibo is where you have the Uhuru peak. So which one did you climb? Is it the highest one?
Yeah, we did the highest one. So Uhuru, so we go to Uhuru, yeah.
Okay, so that is really top of Africa.
Yeah, it is the rooftop, and it's magnificent. It's magnificent to be.
So you can see the whole Africa from there?
Not exactly, but it's a good feeling being there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there are 5 climbing routes to the summit. So which of the routes did you take?
There are actually 7.
7?
There are actually 7, and I've climbed Mount Kilimanjaro twice now. So the first time I went through the Lemosho route, which is a very, very scenic route. It's a beautiful route. I really enjoyed it. And I went during the summertime. So it was an interesting time because it was sunny. You could see all the forces of nature. It was just so beautiful. And the second time I went through Machame. And it was a bit more rainy season. The weather wasn't great, but it was a different route. It wasn't as scenic as Lemosho. That was my opinion. But it was beautiful as well. It was another way to look at the mountain. Yeah.
Okay. As we know, Mount Kilimanjaro is actually the tallest, standalone mountain in the world. Freestanding. Okay. How did you feel when the last step you made to the summit? How did you feel? What came over you?
To be honest, I can't remember the last step. But what I can remember is that. So when you're climbing the mountain, you do it in stages. So it takes 5 days to get to the top and 2 days to come back down. So first day, you probably walk about 10 you hike, you climb about 10 for 10 hours.
10 hours.
Yeah. Second day probably 7. You know, you have different routes, and then each day you camp, you spend the night. You wake up early in the morning, you start the next day, and you proceed to the next camp. So you're going higher every time, and the higher you go, the less the altitude, exactly, the less air you get to breathe. And that's why they say some people, once they get to a certain stage, they probably just can't breathe as well, so they advise them to come back. So for me, especially my first time, with each camp that I was able to sleep, I was really, really happy that I made it, you know. So first camp, you know, for my first time, it was a long walk, and it was a lot of work. And I went with 2 guys, and they were very fit guys in their 30, and here was me just about to clock 50. But they kept me on my toes, you know. I was like, yeah, anything a man can do, I can do too. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And that's another lesson. If you go with people that are motivating you, so if you're with people who are doing it, you want to do it too, you know, who just have that belief that they can do it, you will want to do the same thing. So yeah, so when we got to the fifth day, when you get to the 5th day, that's the day you make the last climb to the summit, and you do it at midnight.
Why?
Yeah. To be honest, I really haven't clocked why you do it at midnight. Some people say because it's such a steep path, they don't want you to see how steep it is, because when you don't see, you just keep going. Some people say because of the altitude, it's better at that time. Some people say the weather is better then, so once you reach there, you're not supposed to stay at a certain time. I really don't know. I'm still to find out why. But you're supposed to do it within 6 to 9 hours.
Okay.
That final push. And then yeah, so once I did that final push was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life, especially for the first time. I wasn't anticipating such an exhausting, tough climb. I mean, there were times where
climbed the first 10,000.
Yeah. In fact, it was really cold. My fingers were frostbitten. I couldn't feel them. At one point, I thought I was going to lose my fingers. But I had a great guide. You know, when you're on the mountain as a group, once you start that last climb to the summit, you have a guide that's just for you. My guide's name was Good Luck, and he was good luck indeed. He was so patient, very encouraging. Oh, he motivated me a lot. When I thought, you know what, I can't go any further, and there were so many times during that last climb that I thought, I cannot take a step further, and that was really how it felt. And that was when it dawned on me that mind over matter. You know, your body might not be able to do that last push, but your mind will determine whether it will. You know? So I felt my body had seized. My legs were hurting. It was freezing. I couldn't feel my hands. Just take that next step was all the strength I could muster. But my mind, like the guy was telling me, look down and you couldn't go all the way back. And I couldn't. So I can't go this far just to turn back. So my mind was saying, Remi, you can do it, you can do it. And I don't know, I just don't know how my body did it. But I kept on putting one step in front of the other. And then I'd look up and say, oh my God, I still have so far to go. You know, and I really thought my body system was going to give up. But my mind was determined. And I finally made it. And the funniest thing is that, you see, you get to what you call Stellar Point, and it's a steep hill. And you get to Stellar Point and you feel great. You feel great about yourself. And people say once you get to Stellar Point, it's downhill. I mean, that's just the saying. But it's an easier climb. But I got to Stellar Point, which was an achievement. And then I look again, I'm like, what? It's still all the way there. But you can see the symbolic Kilimanjaro signboard, and you're like, you know, when you see something, it gives you a lot more motivation to get there, even though it's far. It was very far. You see it and you think it's near, but it was very far. It took me another hour plus to get there. And this was from someone who felt that she couldn't move one more inch. But because you can see it and you say, okay, one more step.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it is said that when you reach the highest peak at the Guru crater, that there is let me just say the whole. Nearly every climber who has climbed Uhuru Peak, the highest summit on the Kibo's crater rim, has recorded his or her thoughts about the accomplishment in a book stored in a wooden box at the top. Did you also write something in that book? If yes, what did you write?
That's so interesting because that must be an ancient tale, because I didn't see any book, and I'm sure my guides would have no box. I think maybe this is an ancient tale that maybe someone did a long time ago, because there's no box there. I assure you.
So there's no
I've
box
been
there?
twice, no box.
No box.
That's a tale.
Okay. That's no box. You have already said it's, touchy somehow. What makes people want to climb mountains? Just to
It's a challenge.
challenge?
It's the challenge, is the fact that you're doing something, you're on a force of nature, you're just out there in the wilderness, and it's just you and your mountain, and you're with you and your thoughts. Because I think you think differently when you're on a mountain, because it's just you there, and maybe some people that you go along with. You don't have your work, you don't have your family for 7 days. You're communing with nature. So that as well as the challenge, and just the fact that it's a good way to exercise.
You climbed the mountain twice. You climbed it twice in 2015.
Yeah.
Am I right?
You're right.
So why did you climb it 2 times?
Well, the first time was, like I said, it was just an adventure challenge, whatever you may call it. It was just something I wanted to do. The second time I did it for a cause. I was turning 50 and I wanted to do something different for my birthday. But I also wanted to be attached to some kind of cause. And a friend of mine had told me about the IDP camps. He had just visited, and he showed me some footage, and I thought, wow, what better way to celebrate my birthday than climbing a mountain to raise product donations for women and children in IDP camps. And that was why I did it. And I invited some friends along so that we could spread the awareness, and we could probably get as many donations as possible. So that was the reason why I did it the second time.
Oh, I see. It was for the IDP. I
Well,
understand you have is it a small group or a movement?
Well, we called it
Climb.
Climb. It wasn't a movement. It wasn't a group. We tagged it Climb with Remi. It was a very unofficial tag so that we could open a Facebook page. And it was me and my friends, all in the same age group, around the 50 mark, all climbing, bringing awareness to this specific cause, women and children. It wasn't a movement. It was just something we did.
Okay, so Climb with Remi is not a movement, it's not a tribe, it's just
No, but I suspect you're going to see more of Climb with Remi in different areas, causes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So who are the members of Climb with Remi?
There's no membership.
No
There's no membership. Like I said, it was just a cause we did at the time, but it's not.
Okay, I was just saying maybe you need more people to join the Climb with Remi now. It's not a permanent kind
Well, we're working towards different things on Climb with Remi, but nothing specific yet. But yeah, and that's what I say. I don't think you've seen the last of Climb with Remi, but it's definitely for things that will societal issues. Things in society.
Okay, tell us really. I mean, it's not you just don't wake up one day and start climbing mountains. How was the preparation like? The physical preparation, the mental preparation? Did you go into a special regime? Really? Can you tell us a little about the preparation?
Well, the first time I hadn't done it before, so I was really worried that because I'd read so many things on the internet, I'd spoken to people, they said you have to be physically fit. And nobody defines what physically fit is. You don't really know what that means. But somebody said to me, 6 weeks prior, you need to spending some time in the gym and stuff like that. I said, okay. I had all kinds of people tell me all kinds of things. So my first climb, I did visit the gym nearly every day, but in between I was traveling, and sometimes when you travel, your routine is a bit disturbed. But I felt, one of the guys that was going with me, he told me he hadn't done much, and I thought to myself, well, Remi, I think I consider myself relatively fit among my peers. So, and I thought, I'm very active, so I thought to myself, Remi will do it. And to be honest, I was physically fit to do it. It wasn't something. I wouldn't have done if I hadn't.
Okay, so it didn't involve you running about 20 kilometers per hour. Per day for some.
But I don't want to
underestimate.
I don't want to underestimate the fact that I am a very active person. I don't know whether you notice I have a bicycle out there. I cycle. I walk. Not every day, but throughout my life, I've always tended to keep fit. You know, so I'm someone who keeps fit generally, you know, so, but Kilimanjaro is not something, it's not for the faint-hearted, but you don't have to be, I think you, above all, you have to have the mindfulness that I will do it, you know. You've got to be fit, but you've got to have the mindfulness, because I've seen people, and then you have to be able to combat the altitude sickness, because that gets a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you sponsor the trip, trips? Was there any corporate sponsorship, or was it just all you alone?
Okay, for my first trip, I paid for myself. I mean, it was a personal thing. The second one, it was for a cause, so we sought out sponsorship, and thank you to Airtel. They sponsored us, and Techno gave us some handsets to take pictures of the scenery. And then also we had a sponsor, a foundation, Wellbeing Foundation, headed by Mrs. Toyin Saraki. She sponsored me personally to fly to the top. So yeah, we had about 3 sponsors.
Okay. All right, so that's all to do with Mount Kilimanjaro. Let's talk about a little bit about Toastmasters.
Toastmasters.
I've known you to be, in fact, the first day I stepped into Toastmasters for you, the ones I was speaking.
Oh wow.
And it was like the Holy Spirit had descended on you. You spoke so well, in fact, I wanted to run away. So, tell our audience briefly about Toastmasters.
Well, I joined Toastmasters about 10 years ago now, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think I joined in 2006. Yeah, late 2006, early 2006. And before I joined, I met this lady. I went to a 40th birthday party in London. And there was this lady, Ore. I'll never forget her. She's still one of the most fantastic speakers I've ever listened to.
Ore.
I hope she knows I think that highly of her.
Okay.
Her name is Ore. And she was speaking at my cousin's husband's birthday, 40th birthday party. She was like MC.
Yeah.
And I went up to my cousin and I said to her, who's that lady? She's so well spoken. And she said, oh, her name is Ore, and she's been evaluated by that gentleman who's sitting in the corner there. And I said, wow. And I said, who's he? I said, his name is She said his name is RDJ. I said, really? And I went up to him. I think I asked him about what he was doing. And later I found out that there was an organization called Toastmasters. And it helps people, it's a club. It was established about 90 years ago. And it helps people improve their public speaking. And also, which in turn improves your confidence. I was like, wow, I need to be there. I mean, there's nothing like being able to speak well in front of a crowd, in front of a camera, in front of people, being able to influence the younger generation, not just younger, but your peers, being able to put your point across, being able to articulate your thoughts. All these things Toastmasters provides. So he told me the wonderful things about Toastmasters. I just got home and I got onto my computer, I keyed in Toastmasters. I looked for the nearest Toastmaster where I lived, and it was the one in Islington. I ended up going as a visitor, and I was so amazed by what they were doing, and I said I needed to join. And I also got introduced to Ora, who happens to be a friend of mine today, a very, very, very great speaker. I brought her to Nigeria once to come and speak at a government conference in Abuja once. She's very good. Anyway, when I got home, I found there was no Toastmasters in Nigeria as of the time. And you know that thing that when you think about something so much, all of a sudden it appears, you know, that as you think, though it shall be, you know.
When the strength is ready.
Yeah, and months later, I was just looking at a newspaper, and lo and behold, Ambassador Kobe is launching the first Toastmasters in Nigeria. You know?
So you're one of the pioneers.
Well, I wasn't there at the launching, but yes, we were the pioneers. Yeah, we were one of the pioneers. I wasn't at the first meeting or anything like that, but yes, I was one of the pioneers, and
Okay.
I haven't looked back since.
Okay, so the next logical question is, how did your membership of Toastmasters prepare you for the journey to Kilimanjaro?
Well, I really don't know about preparing me for the journey, but it was at a Toastmaster meeting that I found out that there was a guy who had done Kilimanjaro, and he happened to be someone I eventually became friends with, and that's how I got to climb Kilimanjaro. So Toastmasters, apart from helping enhance your speaking ability, networking is incredible. So I met this gentleman who You know, so if you think about things enough, you meet people there, you meet all kinds of people from different walks of life. It has helped me realize, my Lord, behold, there was somebody in the Toastmaster meeting who did. So yeah, that was good fun.
Okay. You know, Toastmasters prepares us to be, to just have the mindset that nothing is impossible. And when you do your 10th speech, the inspirational speech, you know that you really is a very, very good preparation.
Yes, I totally agree with you. It gives you a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence, self-esteem, I would not discount that for 1 minute. It did change me, and above all, and this is one thing a lot of people probably don't speak about, meetings are on Saturdays. I always left a meeting feeling different, feeling energized, feeling like you could conquer the world, because especially if you'd spoken, if you got onto that platform and spoken, and people had been moved by your speech, or just giving you compliments, or told you how you could improve, you'd walk out there a different person. So yes, it did prepare me in different ways, and it did make me a much more confident person.
Yes, you talked about this. Let's talk briefly about Nigerian youth. Okay. I understand about 62% of Nigerians are below 30. Are you aware? About 65% of Nigerians are below the age of 30. So almost, we have a whole bunch of youth out there. Given what you have achieved, it appears nothing is really impossible if one has the will. Okay? Is it the type of message you'd like to share with the youth?
Yeah, the youth, that's one thing on my mind all the time, and one of the things I personally like to do, and that's why I keep learning, I keep wanting to learn, I keep wanting to do things that with the youth. It's true about that statistic. It's people give out different statistics. Some people say 70% of Nigerians are under 30, some people say 60, but 60% of Africans are under 30. It's a startling figure, but it's also good for us if we educate these youth and if we have a good impression on these youth. Because if you look at the rest of the world, they're aging. The African population is young. So we need to get these youth educated. So my main message to the young people in Nigeria is that you need to go out there and get some form of education. We need to be educated because at one point in time, in the not too distant future, the world is looking to Africa to recruit skilled labor, skilled hands. And the only place they can look is Africa. Because if you look at China, they've got an aging population. If you look at America, same thing. If you look at the whole of Europe, and if you have been following what's been going on, people are coming from America, from Europe, to train young people to be software developers, because they've seen that Africans have the talent, and Nigeria is one of the destination countries because we have a huge population. So Nigerian youth are the future of Nigeria. There's no doubt about it. They are the leaders. They're the future of the world. If we educate our youth, not just education, they get their value system right, because there's a lot of things wrong with our values today. The way we think now, it's so different than the way we thought. There's nothing bad in changing the way we think, but are we thinking in the right direction? Are we thinking in the right direction?
Okay, so, given the challenges in the economy, the environment, what specific advice would you give if you were just to give, say, 1, 2, 3 advice? What would it be?
I think we should start making things that are Nigerian. We need to start digging deep and deciding how we want to be seen by the world. We need to stop this, whatever the Western world does is good for us too. We need to start doing Nigerian things. We need to start creating Nigerian jobs. We need to start making things Nigerian. We need to start showing people that as Nigerians we have our own culture, we have our own inventions, we need to start making things. We need to start being responsible. We need to stop blaming other people for what's going on in our country and start taking responsibility and start making things happen for us. We are very intelligent, we're very resourceful, we have a lot of things going for us, but we don't seem to see it because we're always looking elsewhere. But if we take time to believe in ourselves and believe that yes, we've got the know-how, we've got the strength, we've got the power, we've got the capacity, we are a force to be reckoned with. And start learning, things will change.
Okay, so let's just briefly, you are a mother. Okay, so let's talk about Nigerian women. What, as I mentioned before, there's so much challenges in the environment. So what would be, maybe you were invited to speak to Nigerian women, what would be your advice to Nigerian women about overcoming challenges, given,
Well, that's an interesting and a tough question, because I think Nigerian women are magnificent. Nigerian women rise to the task a lot, and given what we have to do, I mean, we're multitaskers. We're very resilient women. Nigerian women are very resilient. I say that all the time, because I mean, you bring up children. A lot of Nigerian women are working, bringing up children, learning, doing a lot of things at the same time. So I think, and because we influence our children, I think it's very important, especially the men, both children, you know. I think the Nigerian woman has a huge role to play in the future development of the youth.
okay.
In the future development of the youth. So I think, whereas if you're having children, we need to be more aware of how our children are growing, are being educated, the values we are inculcating into our children. The family unit, we need to learn how to keep that family unit together. And sometimes we can say, oh, the men have an equal responsibility, and I so agree, they probably even have more responsibility. But looking at the younger generation, let's even say this generation, you know, sometimes when you grow to a certain age, it's difficult to change your spots. But our children, we still have a huge responsibility to influence what they're thinking. So as per our children and how we're bringing them up is very, very important. And the family unit, because the family unit is changing, you know, the dynamics of the family unit is changing. So we need to keep that unit together and make sure our values and education and all the things that keep our family together are still solid.
Okay, just one or two final questions. You are a mother, you are a career woman, and so how do you manage career, family, and achieving full potential as a woman?
That's interesting.
You have the career, you have the family, as you have just mentioned. You want to get to the top of the hierarchy, the ladder, whatever. Then you have to keep the family together. So how do you, and you want to achieve your full potential as a woman, so how do you do that?
That's a huge balancing act, to be honest. Yes, I was one of those women who just didn't want to be a stay-at-home mother. And having 5 children, I mean, it was something that I really had to battle with. But in all honesty, my earlier part of my career, I decided to be self-employed so that I could have my time. You know, so when you're self-employed, you call the shots yourself. So you put things in place to keep your business running. At the same time, you're there for your children. Because like I said, I had 5 children. And having children in primary school and going off in the morning and coming back at night, it's your house helps that end up teaching your children values, which is not really good. So I had to be an entrepreneur, which is great too. I enjoyed it. I mean, those are when I look back at my life, those are one of the great times of my life. You know, I had good fun, I had my time, I created things. So in the first 10 years of my life when my children were growing up, I was an entrepreneur.
The first 10 years of your marriage?
Well, maybe longer, because I didn't stop. I started, well, it's interesting, when I first had 2 kids, I was working for a bank in Victoria Island, and I remember getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and setting up to work about 5:45 just to get to work at 8 o'clock. And I didn't get home until sometimes 9, 10, 11, 12. There were days, I remember a couple of days I didn't get home until 12 midnight because of traffic. And I was miserable. I was so miserable. My kids would still be sleeping by the time I got up, or by the time I got back, they're sleeping. I would have no influence on them whatsoever. And all I would pray for was for Friday night to come so I could have a weekend. And by Sunday I was miserable again. There was no life. It was no life.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I didn't want just the burden of expenses just to be on my husband. So I really, but after a while, I just had to resign. After 2 years, I resigned, and I thought to myself, I need to find something that would occupy me, give me income, but still allow me to see my kids. And that's why I started entrepreneurship. But yes, you can have it, but you've got to do a lot of planning. But in today's world where the internet, then there was no internet. In today's world where we have the internet, there's a lot of companies doing flexi working. A lot of companies now doing flexi working. So that might help.
Definitely not in the banking sector.
Not in the banking. But banking has become very digital now. A lot of people are doing things from their houses. And I'm thinking in the next 10 years there'll be less branches. There'll be less branches in the next 10. You just watch. It's going digital. So there's a lot of things that are going to be changing. You know, and Nigerians have to wake up and see how, you know, we have to think faster. How this digital age, how do we, because a lot of people are going to start being unemployed because of this digital age. How do we play this part? How do we participate in this? Women as well. How do we bring up our kids in this digital age where robots are going to be taking over nearly everything? You know, soon we'll have a robot as a maid.
All right, so one final advice. What is your advice to people out there aspiring to achieve what they think is impossible?
You know, this question of advice, we're all still learning. I treasure advice from people, but I can offer my 2 cents. Still wanting to achieve, I think, I mean, we all, I don't know what we all saw the boss of Nokia weep to the world the other day. And his message was that they didn't do anything wrong, but they didn't change fast enough. And this is the world we're living in today. This is the world we're living in. Change is the only thing that's constant.
So we have to be flexible, we have to be...
Massive flexibility.
Yeah.
There's change everywhere around us, so you have to keep learning, you have to keep up to date.
You have to keep learning.
Reading, being up to date, you need to be there, you need to be up to date. You can't sit in your house and expect things to come and meet you. It's a competitive world.
How do we balance it? Because I'm 100% sure there's no library, public library within this area. I'm sure you have more than 2 million people living in this estate.
There's a public library just...
public library somewhere?
CMD library, just here.
Yeah, the CMD, okay.